Let's look at our next indicator, which quantifies the amount of time a leader spends working with teachers to improve instruction. The principal spends at least 50% of his or her time working directly with teachers to improve instruction, including classroom observations. Keep in mind, this does not mean the principal is spending 50% of his time conducting classroom observations only. It doesn't mean she is spending 50% of her time working on just scheduling to ensure instructional time is maximized either. In addition to those very important activities, direct involvement means that these principals know the core work of their business, teaching and learning, and are directly involved in making sure that their business gets better every day. It means that these principals are highly visible in classrooms and throughout the school. Use indicators of effective teaching and classroom management to easily identify and target areas of strength and weakness. Observe classroom instruction regularly, provide performance feedback, and provide professional development opportunities for teachers to improve their practice. Work directly with teachers and teacher teams to improve areas of weakness and share areas of strength. Focus faculty meetings on improving instruction and student learning outcomes. Participate with instructional and leadership teams in the design and implementation of unit plans. Review achievement and non-achievement data with teachers and instructional teams frequently. Work with colleagues to craft, implement, and monitor assessment systems. Identify and remove barriers that prevent teachers from doing their best work. Make themselves available to teachers and students. Are relentless in counseling poor teachers to leave the profession. And aggressively monitor the alignment between instruction, standards, curricula, and assessment. What do you think? Are you doing some or all of these? Is there room for improvement? Let's hear from two principals and one teacher on how time in their schools is spent working directly with teachers to improve instruction.
I monitor curriculum in classrooms daily. That's my, outside the kids being safe again, that is my main objective, you know. I know what's going on in the building from kindergarten to fifth. I know what students are struggling, and you can only know this by looking at the data, talking to teachers, checking homework. That's how you know this. You know exactly what the kids are getting and what they're not getting. So I monitor instruction daily. That's my primary focus.
That's daily. Daily you monitor that. One of the things that I do in my daily routine is go by classrooms. And I pick random classrooms. I go in, I see where what lessons are being taught. I see where it lines up through curriculum mapping to try to make sure that our teachers are right where they need to be, or at least as close as they can be as far as what they're supposed to be teaching. Oh, it's very, very important. A lot of times we will have teachers who will be doing the right thing, but sometimes having that administrative input, that leadership outside of the classroom really makes a difference because they feel that support and they understand that where they may be falling short, you as an instructional leader have the ability to come in and help get them right back on course. Ultimately, it's all about helping those students, so teachers appreciate that.
She's very involved in everything we do. They have a team that meets once or maybe a couple times weekly, and they present every Wednesday. It's called the Doug Reeves team, and they're constantly giving us new strategies that we can do. We have data team meetings with each team, and she goes to those and observes them. She has specific time periods each day that's set out for going into classrooms and seeing how things are going. There's times each month or maybe even weekly that a group of teachers and administrators walk around and do walkthroughs and kind of keep track of engagement. She's very involved in our curriculum.
The question remains, how are these principals able to spend 50% of their time on these activities? The answer is part skill, part will, part organization, and part delegation. In a moment, we'll learn more about the capacity building function of the principal, a must for effective delegation, and how the leadership team and teacher instructional teams contribute to the system of leadership in a school. But while we've got this principal here, let's ask her how she does it. Take note of what she does and compare it to the list that follows.
Well, for the the instructional team meetings, I feel like if I want the full benefits from that, I need to be there. And it's good for me to hear what is happening. And that is one way I see that I can offer support or encouragement for those instructional, that sound instruction that's happening in the classroom, or not, and then adjust, and help support that in another way outside of the team. But I think that's essential, and the feedback I get from those grade level teams is that they appreciate that I'm there. They have they have time then to ask me questions. If we're just running up to a difficult situation with a kid, it's a time that I give to them, and that's valuable to them as much as it is to me. I consider that part of my 50% in the classrooms, because we are discussing kids and instruction and assessments and interventions, all those pieces that are important to help with that student achievement. Otherwise, I'm in classrooms at least once a week, some more than that. And the leadership team actually has developed kind of a checklist of things to watch for in the classroom when I'm going around, based somewhat on what they feel their needs are, and based somewhat on what our focus has been with the indicators. And so I will use that oftentimes just to provide a little feedback, sometimes a reflection question. And sometimes I just go and visit, knowing I may not have time to take the notes and give the feedback, right away that day. So I'll come back and email something if it needs to be addressed, or if I want to encourage it. And then as part of our evaluation process, some teachers have a lot longer periods of observations. But and then every Friday we have Panther Paw Friday. So every Friday I'm in all the classrooms doing that, in addition to the at least once a week piece. And then I keep a binder and keep some notes if I need to, and that way I can remind myself to follow up with things and have a little bit of a record of patterns.
Did you pick up on the following strategies? Setting a daily and weekly schedule and keeping it. Using a checklist of effective instructional practices that can easily be used in classroom visits. Getting a weekly schedule from instructional teams and teachers on when they are meeting and topics of their meetings. Setting goals with teachers and carving out time to review them together. And making use of idle moments and maximizing encounters. While classroom observation is just one way that principals work directly with teachers to improve instruction, it is a critical one. Remember the principal who visited classrooms and provided a summary of findings within 24 hours? Well, he certainly had the right approach. Our next indicator takes this a step further. The principal compiles reports from classroom observations showing aggregate areas of strength and areas that need improvement without revealing the identity of individual teachers. Providing teachers with their individual summary report is helpful in its own right. Using the indicators of effective instructional practice makes it easy to see what they're doing well and what they need to work on. But the data collected across a team, a subject area, a grade level, is a treasure trove in determining where school-wide training is needed and where targeted support to a few teachers should be directed. Here, a principal talks about how she uses teaming as a great way to implement this indicator. And then she shares with us a scenario that played out with her staff. Very interesting.
A lot of the observations that I do throughout the day, I take data directly from the classroom and what the teachers are saying. For instance, we just did a number of things with higher order thinking skills and the way that we ask questions. And so we used questions directly from the classroom, gave those to the teachers and said, where do you see this? How could you change this question to even get a deeper, richer discussion in your classroom? At the end of that, teachers kind of said, well, where did these questions come from? And I said, well, these are your questions. These came directly from your classroom. And that changed the conversation completely and shifted the thinking into, okay, wait a minute, what I thought I was doing every single day and what really is out there on that piece of paper from actual true observation, maybe we do need to step back and really think more intentionally about what we're asking students to do.
What a way to have staff reflect on what they really do, compile the reports, share the results, and do so in a way that protects identity and gets everyone thinking at the same time. In your workbook, we've provided you with a sample observation sheet for individual observations and a sample report that will show what the results look like when aggregated across a school, a team, a grade level, or even subject area. Direct involvement with teachers in capturing data related to their instructional practice has numerous benefits. Among them, knowing where unsound and ineffective teaching practices may be occurring. The principal challenges unsound teaching practices and supports and monitors the correction of them. Formal and informal observations alert us immediately to unsound teaching practices. If these practices are found across the faculty, the principal and leadership team can remedy it through well-planned, school-wide professional development. When the practice is limited to an individual teacher or two, the use of training or coaching can be effective. Subsequent follow-up is also provided. Let's listen to these principals discuss the process they use to identify unsound teaching practices, and then finally to support and monitor its correction.
And if you need some extra help, come on, and we're gonna get that help. And I'm gonna pitch in wherever I am. I'm gonna stick my head and I'm gonna work and I'm gonna research the data that we are getting. I'm gonna research whatever techniques that they feel that they need to use in their classroom. I'm going to go in, I'm going to model, I'm going to work with the individual students that need the extra help as I'm observing. I'm going to just pitch in wherever I'm needed. Whatever I need to make this building conducive for learning and nurturing for our students, I'm not above it. Monitoring, role modeling, sitting in with individual groups, come back, research, gather my data, gather my documents, return and feedback with the teachers to try to find some other type of instruction that we can go back and reteach this lesson.
And for me, it really is about facilitating that self-reflection because most of the teachers here are veteran teachers. They are leaders. They do have areas of expertise and they can be trusted to do a wonderful job, and they need the encouragement to continue doing that and resources. And then they have areas that they can identify as weaknesses, and they can also use that facilitation and resources from me to figure out how they're going to get to where they're going. New teachers, I am doing a lot more formal observations with them and goal setting in different kinds of ways. And so when things aren't going really smoothly, because I am doing those observations, I have real tangible examples that I can give them. And I can really utilize resources for them. So I really kind of view myself as encouraging reflection, but also facilitating use of resources. There are times when things aren't okay and that safety's breached, and it is really important for me to, as a leader, to address those situations and correct them. And so I am pretty open and honest about those situations as well, and I will address them and set goals for things that we need to do to make the changes that we need to make.
Part 3 of this course will focus exclusively on what makes professional development effective and meaningful and the ways in which it can occur. For now, we'll use it as a springboard into our next and final segment on the principal's role, principal as capacity builder.